Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. We've seen consolidation come through yesterday and it was a little bit of a repeat today. Had you not known that we had actually seen some gains come through earlier in the day, especially when it comes to the benchmarks. However, we have seen a lot of volatility, eventually seeing the benchmarks close largely flattish, as you can see on the Nifty, closing exactly where we left off yesterday. Tata Steel and Zee Entertainment along with Kotak Mahindra Bank and NTPC among the top gainers on the index. But on the losing end, it is the usual suspects. Indiabulls Housing Finance and Yes Bank along with Adani Ports. But UPL isn't, or is not the one that usually shows up on this list. That's down 5% under a lot of pressure. On the broader markets, we have one gainer for two losers on the NSE 500 with Trent and TCNS Clothing along with Star Cement advancing by over 4%. But on the losing end, again, names that prop up almost every second day. Generation down 28%, Jet Airways down 18%, a whole host of ADAG companies also down and out, and in fact Vakrangi is also now beginning its decline down around 14%. So there has been a lot of weakness in the broader markets. In fact, there are a bunch of infra names like Dilip Bilkon as well as IRB Infra which are also under pressure. But on that note, I'm going to bring in our markets editor Neeraj Shah for his perspective. Neeraj, what are your thoughts here? What do you make of these markets?
Well, interesting, isn't it? Yesterday we were talking about how we didn't close at the day's highs, but still in the green. Today we definitely didn't close at the day's highs. It just shows the pressure coming in at the higher levels, and this is despite the world markets doing reasonably okay. So I think market is now taking serious cognizance of the issues around those certain financial institutions and real estate exposed companies and what the ripple effect of that would be. I think that's probably the only reason why the markets have done what they've done today. But let's see. We've been talking at length about when would this end, when would this whole bloodbath in the mid caps and small caps end. For now, it doesn't seem like it's ending in a hurry. Volumes were a bit tepid today compared to yesterday's trade, I would guess, Agam. But I mean, I presume that was the case. And again, I don't know what advice you got on the show, but I would presume that people would be skeptical about taking major long.
Yes, absolutely. The thing, in the cash markets, the volumes are all right, but we saw a very sharp spike in the futures and options markets. So I reckon that there will be short-term positions which will have taken. But Neeraj, thank you for that perspective there. So that's as far as your broader markets go. But let's talk about stocks and sectors. And I'm going to start off with Nikki Mirchandani, who's going to give us an idea on some of the important developments in the markets today. Nikki, what do you have for us?
So Tata Steel, it's the top performer on Nifty, as we saw 4.5% uptick for the counter. Earlier part of the day, we saw Goldman Sachs coming up with a report which suggested that it's now turning more bearish on Indian steel sector due to a slew of events. But then at the same time, it mentioned that it's reiterating the buy rating on Tata Steel, and in fact, it prefers Tata Steel, which is a fully integrated player as compared to that of JSW Steel or someone which is going to be a low-cost converter. Prefers Tata Steel. And this is mainly on account of the kind of uncertainty also that we've been witnessing. And JSW Steel, the target price for that has been actually revised downwards to 9%, and the counter itself has been downgraded to neutral. Essentially, the key reasons why they have chosen Tata Steel is because of the complete integration, iron ore integration that the player enjoys. Just a bit of analysis here, Agam, back last year, Goldman Sachs actually came up with a report where it suggested that it prefers JSW Steel more as compared to that of Tata Steel, and we saw JSW Steel slipping more than Tata Steel. This time around, there is a change in stance, so let's see how Tata Steel performs.
Okay, well, Nikki, thank you so much for joining us and taking us through those views. Of course, the Goldman Sachs report is an important one that a lot of investors will take cognizance of. But there are two other stocks which are buzzing in trade today, and I'm going to get in Yash Upadhyay to talk to us about the same. Yash, what's on your list?
It was a subdued day of trade, Agam, but there were two names that stood out for me. I'll start first with SH Kelkar, and that one snapped its 9-day losing streak. The stock managed to close almost 2 to 3% higher, and we have had a whole host of specialty chemical names doing very well. Yesterday we had SRF on the back of the MK price price target hike, which was doing very well today. Again, there were some names that were buzzing in trade, SH Kelkar being one of them. The volumes too were higher on the counter in today's day of trade. In fact, they were 4 times higher than its 30-day average. So some of the specialty chemical names, they are doing fairly well for themselves. And I want to highlight Blue Star as well. This one's up close to 3% in today's day of trade. And this was on the back of the order that the company received from the Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation worth close to 235 crore rupees, which is the largest single order that the company has received. And right after the announcement came, the stock saw a sharp move on the higher side. It in fact crossed the mark of 795 rupees. But post that, it slowly and steadily came off from the highs of the day, but nevertheless managed to end higher by more than 3%. So these are the two stocks you want to watch out for.
Cheers. Yash, thanks so much for joining us and getting us those details on those two other stocks. Of course, a very interesting move playing out for some of those air conditioner makers. And of course, Blue Star, of course, one of them. We'll be watching out for those as we move into the next few sessions. Of course, don't forget, we will also have the outcome of the FOMC meet tonight, and we are likely to have global markets react to that decision on the Federal Reserve. But on that note, it's a wrap on the markets with lots more lined up. Stay tuned to Bloomberg.